Your family is low class, not on my level. That was the first thing I heard as I stepped through the doorway on Christmas evening. I had barely unbuttoned my coat when she said it. My daughter's mother-in-law, her voice cutting through the warm chatter in the living room like a blade. She did not whisper it. She wanted me to hear every word. I stayed quiet. I smiled. And in that moment, no one else in the room understood why. My name is Rita Langford. I am 64 years old. I came that night because my daughter Elena wanted Christmas to feel whole. She had spent the past week sending me little messages. Mom, it will be better this year. Mom, please come early. Mom, I want you here. I never said no to her, not once in her life. But the moment I walked in, her mother-in-law, Lorraine Whitmore, looked me over from head to toe as if she were inspecting something someone had left on her porch. Elena froze beside me, her fingers tightening around the dish she carried. Her smile stretched thin like it might tear. Lorraine always spoke like the world owed her a throne. Tonight she sat in the center of their decorated living room, surrounded by her husband, her sisters-in-law, and anyone else willing to nod along to whatever she said. She tilted her chin toward me as if my presence threatened to lower the temperature of the room. Elena stepped closer, almost an instinct, like she was trying to shield me. Her eyes were bright with something. She tried to swallow anger, embarrassment, fear of the scene she knew could happen. I touched her arm gently, letting her know I was fine, at least for now. Lorraine kept talking, tossing little comments across the room like confetti no one asked for. I heard them. Elena heard them. I kept smiling. I did not come here to fight, but I knew that before this night ended, someone in this house would learn exactly who they were talking to, and that someone would not be my daughter. Elena stood beside me, still holding the dish she brought, her knuckles white against the ceramic. She whispered, "Mom, just come in, please." Her voice was soft, steady, but the tremor beneath it betrayed her. I stepped farther into the living room. Lorraine barely glanced up before saying, "Elena, dear, next time remind your mother that Christmas dinner is a formal gathering. Some people have different ideas of what formal means," she said. Elena inhaled sharply. "Lorraine, she looks perfectly fine." Lorraine smiled at her, the kind of smile that said, "Sit down and behave, sweetheart. You don't have to defend everything." Elena set the dish on the table a little too hard. "I'm defending someone," she muttered. Her husband Mark walked in just then, adjusting his cufflinks like the room needed to appreciate them. "Everything all right?" he asked, looking between his mother and my daughter. Lorraine answered first. "I'm just saying your wife inherited a soft heart. She protects people who don't need protecting." Elena turned to him. "Mark, your mom insulted mine." He rubbed the back of his neck. "She didn't mean it like that." Lorraine let out a light laugh. "Of course, I meant it kindly. I'm simply realistic." Elena's jaw tightened. "Mom, sit with me," she said suddenly, pulling a chair out before anyone else could speak. When I sat, she leaned close and whispered, "I'm sorry." "I'm really trying." I touched her hand. "You don't have to apologize for them." She blinked fast, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "If I don't keep things calm, this night will fall apart." "Then let it fall," I said softly, her breath hitched. "Mom, I don't want you to be hurt." "Then stop letting them hurt you too." For the first time that night, Elena didn't smile at all. Mark's father, Leonard Whitmore, entered the dining room with a raised voice as if the whole house needed to know he had arrived. "Traffic in the West Hills is impossible tonight," he announced. "Holiday crowds. People who don't belong up there clog the roads." Lorraine nodded proudly. "That's the price of living in a desirable neighborhood." Leonard gave me a polite smile, the kind that didn't touch his eyes. "Ria, good to see you. Elena told us you work at that community center downtown. Must be fulfilling." I returned the smile. "It is." He chuckled softly. "I admire that. Not everyone is built for high-pressure environments." Mark joined in, trying to sound casually superior. "Dad means well." "Mom, he just means our world moves a little faster." Elena stiffened beside me. "Your world, Mark. You work from home answering calls for a tech company." Mark shot her a warning look. "It's a competitive field." Lorraine reached for her wine. Success isn't only about money, it's about standards, presentation, how a family carries itself. People in the West Hills expect a certain Polish. Leonard cleared his throat. Speaking of Polish, the homeowners association fee went up again. The HOA fee went up again. It's frustrating, but we're managing. I watched the way he said it, loudly, confidently, with a slight lift of his chin, but his hand trembled as he set down his glass. Lorraine jumped in quickly. We managed just fine. Elena's eyes narrowed. She knew that tone. She had heard it before in arguments behind closed doors. "Mom," she whispered to me. "They're posturing again." Lorraine straightened. "We maintain our lifestyle because we work hard. Some families don't understand that." Leonard forced a laugh. "We're blessed. We've earned everything we have." Elena met my eyes, her voice barely above a breath. "They pretend so hard." "Mom, I had already noticed." The Whitmore spoke like royalty, but their voices cracked whenever money slipped into the conversation. Beneath the shine, something in their facade strained like a curtain pulled too tight over a window, ready to break. 2 years earlier, Elena showed up at my apartment with her coat half-zipped and her eyes red from crying. She stood in the doorway, trying to speak, failing twice before the words finally came out. "Mark lost his job," she whispered. "They cut his whole team. We're behind on the mortgage. Mom, we might lose the house." I pulled her inside. "Sit down. Tell me everything." She sank into the chair like her body was giving up. We talked to his parents. They told us to tighten our lifestyle and ride out the storm. Dad Whitmore said he couldn't keep bailing us out when he's already covering so much for the family. I frowned. "Covering what?" Elena wiped her face. "I don't know. Every time I ask, they say I'm overstepping." I leaned forward. "How much are you behind?" She swallowed. 3 months, around 8,000. I don't even know the exact number anymore. If we miss one more payment, we're in foreclosure. I took her hand. "Why didn't you come sooner?" "Because I knew you'd help," she whispered. "And I didn't want to be the reason you spent your retirement on us." I didn't answer right away. My retirement wasn't much, but I had savings money from years at the community center, small raises, overtime shifts, careful choices. I could feel Elena shaking beside me. "Let me make the payment this month," I said quietly. Elena's head snapped up. "Mom, no. Mark hates anyone knowing we're struggling. He doesn't need to know." She blinked. "You'd keep it secret. I'd keep you safe." I made the first payment the next morning, then the next, and the next. Every month, the Whites complimented their son on how responsible he was for keeping the mortgage afloat. They praised Elena for marrying into stability. They bragged at church about the house being part of their family legacy. Only the bank and I knew whose account kept those walls standing. If they knew the truth, their voices tonight might have sounded very different. Dinner began before anyone was ready for it. Lorraine rang a tiny silver bell she kept beside her plate, as if she were summoning servants in an old movie. "Everyone, take your seats," she said, already arranging herself at the head of the table. I sat beside Elena. Mark sat across from us, fidgeting with his napkin. Lorraine's eyes found me first. "Rhea, that coat you wore earlier, it looked thrifted. Vintage can be charming when done properly, though." I folded my hands in my lap. "It keeps me warm." Her smile widened. Of course, warmth matters. Some people choose function, others choose style. Leonard let out a dry laugh. Too loud. As if trying to support a punchline he didn't fully understand. Aunt Sylvia, Mark's aunt, leaned in and whispered, "Lorraine has strong opinions about presentation. Don't mind her." Lorraine heard every word. "I don't have opinions. Sylvia, I have standards." Elena stiffened. "Mom's coat is fine." Lorraine shrugged. "Sweetheart, I didn't say it was bad. I said it looked practical. Practical has its place." Mark cleared his throat. "Mom, just let everyone eat." "Oh, I'm not stopping anyone," she said, lifting the cheese platter. "Rhea, would you like some brie?" "I know not everyone grows up with brie, but it's mild." "You might like it," she said, "but it's mild." Elena's fork clattered. "Enough." Lorraine blinked. I'm helping her expand her palate. Leonard chimed in. It's a cultured cheese. Elena, some families just aren't accustomed. I looked at him. I can handle cheese. A few guests coughed awkwardly. No one looked directly at me. Lorraine leaned back, studying Elena. My dear, you really did marry up. Mark's always had impeccable taste, even in difficult situations. Our family keeps its dignity. Elena's voice shook. Are you saying mine doesn't? I'm saying certain backgrounds carry limitations, Lorraine replied. Mark whispered. Mom, stop. But he didn't sound convincing. Elena reached under the table and squeezed my hand so tightly her fingers trembled. The room stayed polished on the surface. White plates, crystal glasses, polite smiles. But every word Lorraine spoke tasted sharper, darker, coated in something poisonous. Her voice never rose. Her smile never faded. But the venom was there, tucked neatly beneath holiday cheer. Lorraine lifted her wine glass again, swirling it like she was examining the color of her own superiority. Presentation matters, she said to no one in particular, though her eyes slid to me. Some people understand that. Some people adapt. Elena's fingers found mine under the table. She squeezed once, sharp and tense. I didn't look at her. I didn't want her to see the part of me that was starting to ache. Mark tried to redirect the conversation. Mom, maybe we can talk about something else. Christmas. Maybe Lorraine waved him off. I'm simply stating facts. If Elena wants to fit in with the families up here, she'll need to rise to certain expectations. Elena turned toward her. I'm doing fine. You're trying, Lorraine corrected. But trying only gets you so far when the people you come from don't help you elevate. Elena's grip on my hand tightened. Hard. Painful. I whispered low enough only she could hear. Breathe. I'm trying, she murmured. Aunt Sylvia attempted to soften the moment. Lorraine, don't pick at her. It's Christmas. Lorraine smiled. I'm not picking. I'm guiding. Elena leaned forward, her voice strained. Mom doesn't need your guidance. Lorraine arched a brow. I've known your husband far longer than your mother has. I know what strengthens a family and what weakens one. Elena's breath hitched. She looked at me again, eyes shining, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jump. I kept my voice calm. Elena, you don't have to defend me. I do, she whispered. They're wrong. I know, I said. She blinked fast and squeezed my hand again, not asking for help this time, but trying to hold herself together. Lorraine picked up her fork. Strength shows in how people handle criticism. Elena let go of my hand. Her shoulders stiffened. The air shifted. Something in her was beginning to crack. Lorraine set down her fork with a soft click, the kind that carried more weight than a shout. Elena, she said, folding her hands, you've come a long way since marrying into this family. Mark really lifted you up. Elena froze. Lifted me up? Well, Lorraine continued, you didn't exactly come from options. And now, look, you live in a beautiful home. You're surrounded by people who understand refinement. That's what marriage should do. Elevate. Mark stiffened but didn't speak. I felt Elena's fingers clamp around mine under the table again, tighter than before. Lorraine's gaze slid toward me. Of course, certain influences can pull a person back down. Some families just don't understand how to maintain standards. It's no one's fault it's upbringing. Leonard chimed in lightly. Everyone plays their part. Some people lift a family forward. Others, he said, glancing briefly in my direction. Elena snapped. Stop talking about my mom like she's baggage. Lorraine blinked, playing innocent. Sweetheart, I didn't say she's baggage. I said she doesn't. Help, Mark whispered. Elena, sit down. It's fine. It's not fine. She shot back louder. My mom is the most hardworking, loyal person I know. She supported me more than anyone at this table ever has. Lorraine tilted her head. Emotion doesn't equal stability. Darling, your mother's heart is big, but hearts don't keep families afloat. Elena shoved her chair back, standing so fast it scraped the floor. You think you keep us afloat? You think my marriage, my life, my worth come from you? You haven't lifted me up. You've stepped on me since the day I met you." A stunned silence filled the room. Lorraine's smile faltered. "You're overreacting." "No," Elena said, voice shaking but steady. "I'm finally reacting." She stood there trembling, eyes blazing, breath unsteady. Every apology she'd swallowed for years burning off her skin. I sat still watching the woman my daughter was becoming. She was standing and I still wasn't. Elena was still standing, breath trembling when I pushed my chair back. The room seemed to shrink as every pair of eyes shifted toward me. I tapped the rim of my glass with the back of my spoon, soft, polite. The sound cut through the tense air more sharply than a shout. Conversation stopped. Even Lorraine lowered her napkin. Wary. "Thank you," I began, keeping my voice steady, "for inviting us tonight. Christmas dinner should be a moment of family, generosity, and honesty." Lorraine let out a stiff laugh. "Ria, dear, this really isn't the time it is," I said. Mark stared at his plate. Elena sank slowly back into her chair, eyes wide, as if she already sensed where I was heading. I rested my hand lightly on the table for 2 years. This home has been your pride, a symbol of standards, stability, and class. You've reminded Elena of that many times. Leonard frowned. "We work hard to maintain this house." "No," I replied gently. "You don't." His jaw tightened. "Excuse me." I reached into my purse and set down a small stack of folded papers, printed statements, marked dates, bank logos. "These," I said, "are the mortgage payments every single month for the past 24 months. Lorraine stared at the papers like they were burning. Elena and Mark fell behind when Mark lost his job. I continued. 4 notices arrived. Their bank called me because Elena listed me as her emergency contact. She didn't want help, but she needed it. Mark's face flushed a painful red, so I paid the mortgage. Quietly every month, without asking for applause, without correcting anyone when they assumed the Whitmore stepped in, Lorraine's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. Leonard leaned forward, voice cracking. "You're saying you kept our house standing?" "Your son's house," I corrected. "Elena's home. My daughter deserved stability when she was drowning, and I provided it." Silence fell like snow. I looked directly at Lorraine. "You've spent this evening reminding me and Elena of our place. You've used this house as proof of your higher standards." I nodded toward the staircase, the polished floors, the framed family photos. "Every piece of this home has stayed intact because of the money I put into it." Lorraine's face drained of color. I lifted my glass again. "So if this home truly isn't worthy of a low-ass family like mine..." I paused, letting the words settle like stones. "I can always stop paying for it." Elena pressed a hand to her mouth. Mark whispered, "Mom." Lorraine finally spoke, voice thin and trembling. "You wouldn't." The room held its breath. Someone was going to break. And it wasn't going to be me. Lorraine's chair scraped back, the sudden noise sharp enough to jolt everyone. "Retta," she said, voice trembling, "may I speak with you?" Privately, I shook my head. "Anything you need to say can be said here." Her lips twitched, caught between fury and desperation. "I didn't mean those comments the way you think. I was only trying to guide Elena. You know how young wives can be." Leonard cleared his throat, trying to soften the blow. "Ria, we appreciate what you've done. Truly, we didn't realize things were so delicate." Elena's laugh was small and bitter. "Delicate. You mocked my mom all night." Mark finally lifted his head. "She's right," he murmured. "Mom, you crossed lines and I should have stopped it years ago." Lorraine turned toward him, stunned. "Mark." He held up a hand. "Enough. You embarrassed Elena. You embarrassed me. You act like you're above everyone, but you've relied on appearances our whole lives, and now we know who actually kept this roof over us." Lorraine's face crumpled. "I was protecting our family." "No," Elena said, standing again, voice steady now. "You were protecting your ego, and you hurt my mom to do it." Lorraine stepped forward. "Elena, sweetheart, don't let this." "Don't call me sweetheart," Elena said sharply. You don't get to belittle my mother for 2 years and then play innocent. Leonard tried again. Let's all calm down. Elena shook her head. Calm hasn't worked. Respect will. She turned to me. Mom, we're leaving. Mark stood too, uncertain. Elena, you don't have to go. Yes, she said. I do, and you should think about why. She took my hand. Hers wasn't shaking anymore. Lorraine reached out weakly. Elena, please. But Elena didn't look back. The Whitmore house stayed behind us. Expensive floors, polished walls, and a pride that finally cracked under its own weight. Tonight, my daughter chose me. When we walked into my small apartment, Elena's shoulders finally dropped. She set her coat on the chair, opened her mouth to speak, and the words collapsed into a sob. She covered her face with both hands. I'm so sorry, she cried. I let them talk about you like that for so long. I thought keeping the peace would protect everyone, but it just hurt you. I pulled her into my arms. You stood up tonight. That matters. She shook her head. I should have done it sooner. You've helped us more than anyone, and I acted like loving you. Quietly was enough. It was enough, I said, but tonight, you chose yourself. You chose me. That's strength. Elena wiped her cheeks. Mom, we can talk about the house later. I don't want you carrying this alone. I will, I said, but I won't hide it again, and I won't let anyone talk down to us ever. She leaned against me, breathing steadier now. Mom, thank you for everything. I poured us both tea and sat beside her on the couch. For the first time that night, the silence felt warm, not tense. Elena rested her head on my shoulder. We're going to be okay. I told her we are, she whispered. If you'd stayed through this whole story, tap like, leave a comment or subscribe for more, and tell me if you had been in my place, would you have stayed quiet or finally stood up too?